Hi everyone, you want to refer to lesson 7.2a, triangles and angles on pages 22 to 24. On the first page, we're going to go over some definitions. So a triangle is a polygon with three sides. So I'm going to draw an example of a triangle. So it has vertices A, B, and C. So the symbolic name for this triangle, we would call it triangle ABC. So you can just use the triangle symbol to name it. So we would call this triangle ABC. Okay, and then there's different types of triangles. So an acute triangle has all angles that are acute angles. So all of the angles are less than 90 degrees. So for example, I could have triangle ABC again. And I could have angles 60, 40, and 80 degrees. Okay, so that would be an example of an acute triangle. All the angles are less than 90 degrees. There's no symbolic name for an acute triangle. An obtuse triangle is a triangle that has one obtuse angle. So I'm going to sketch an example. So let's say this angle here is 100 degrees. So the angle is more than 90 degrees, so that makes it obtuse. So let's say this angle is 30 degrees, and the top angle is 50 degrees, and I'm going to name my triangle ABC. So now in a triangle if it's an obtuse triangle, it can only have one obtuse angle, and the remaining two angles are going to be acute. A right triangle is a triangle with one right angle only. So I'm going to sketch triangle ABC. So here's A, B, C, and then it has one 90-degree angle. Remember that this box indicates that the angle is 90 degrees. So let's say I have this top angle measure 30 degrees and this bottom angle measures 60 degrees. So that's an example of a right triangle. It has only one right angle. So we also classify triangles by their sides. So a scalene triangle has no sides that are congruent. So that means none of the sides measure the same. So here's triangle ABC. And let's say this side is 5, this side is 10, and this side is 7. Okay, and then we indicate that none of the sides are the same with these little marks. These tick marks indicate that none of the sides are the same. An isosceles triangle has at least two sides that are congruent. That means the two sides are the same. So for example, if these two sides are the same, so here's triangle ABC, and let's say these two sides are each 5. Okay, so it has two congruent sides, so two sides that are measure the same. An equilateral triangle has all three sides that are congruent. So all sides measure the same. Okay, so for example, triangle ABC, if all the sides measure 5 units, that means that all the sides were the same or congruent, so it's an equilateral triangle. Okay, for page 23 to 24, what you're going to do is you're going to measure some of the angles Okay, so you're going to measure the sides and the angles and then classify the triangle. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take a protractor and measure the angles. Then you're going to take a ruler and measure each of the side lengths to the nearest centimeter. And then you're going to record all of your measurements. Then once you do that, you're going to classify the triangle. And by classification is you're going to classify it by the sides and the angles. Okay, so I'm going to do one of the examples with you guys, and then I'll have you try the rest on your own. Okay, so if you take your ruler and measure the side lengths of the triangle provided, this left side is about 5.5 centimeters. The right side of the triangle is 7.8 centimeters. And then this bottom side is 8.4 centimeters. Okay, then the angle down here at the left is 65 degrees. The top angle here is 75 degrees. If you take your protractor and measure those angles, that's what you should get approximately. And then this last angle in the bottom right is 40 degrees. So to classify this triangle, you'd have to look at the sides and the angles. So I'm going to write my side measurements as well, and here on number 1 where it says side measurements. So write those down: 5.5 centimeters, 7.8 centimeters, and 8.4 centimeters. Then the angle measurements would be 65 degrees, 75 degrees, and 40 degrees. So to classify this, notice that none of the angles are the same. Okay, none of the sides are the same either. So that means if none of the sides are the same, this is going to be a scalene triangle. And then the angles, notice how they are all less than 90 degrees. So if the angles are all less than 90 degrees, that means this is an acute triangle. So this is a scalene acute triangle. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing for number 2. Measure the side lengths using a ruler, measure the angles using a protractor, and then classify the triangle by the sides and by the angles. So you're going to do the same thing for number 2 all the way through 7. Okay, so you can pause your video and then come back and check your answers once you have finished doing all of your measurements. Okay, so once you're done doing all these measurements, I will post the key in the stream to Google Classroom so that you can check your answers and see how you did and whether you got all the triangle measurements and angle measurements and the